All right, I am back. We are here for another week of racing. This time we take on Bahrain for a little 45-minute event. I am going to step away, obviously, for just a second here. That's why we got the announcer bot itself going. But we will check back in. We got 30 minutes of practice here to go. Plenty of time for these racers to stretch their legs, get comfortable with the track, although we've seen a lot of them already put some laps in. So enjoy some cinematic drifting from Pogo here as everybody starts to settle in, and we will be right back. All right, I am back. Let's get the drone cam up and loaded. Let's get this one ready to go. I think we're going to have a good, fun race today. I don't know. I'm excited to see what these guys have for us. We're going to start, obviously, with Pogo. He's the first one out on the track. Makes it the easiest one for me to just hop right in and follow. Let's get rid of that bad boy and see what the boys have for us today. So Pogo, once again, representing that Dark Lounge race team livery. I don't believe he races with them. I think he just liked the way it looked. Those guys have raced with us before, though. Articulate Fox, one of the strongest contenders that we've had here. Very, very excited to see how that one goes. And just double checking that everybody's getting into the event here, or at least that we have a few. It looks like Zob is not going to be able to make it, so no Pet Zombo today. Did he not make it into the standings for some reason? I'll have to take a look at that. He might actually be ahead of Jesus then, because I think if I remember correctly, there's one like blank spot. Well, we'll take a look. Pogo doing a great job now, working his way down the straightaway. We don't have a track map open, do we? Where is map display? Somewhere. Uh-oh. Let's lock on for a second here. See if we can figure out where that thing went off to. Let's just try starting it from scratch. Maybe that'll help out. Display full. Usually is right over here. That is not a great start. Oop, as we see a little bit of contact there. All right, give me a minute. We are going to have to reset that. But hey, that's what it's all about. Getting all the trouble out of the way here in practice so that we can adjust it for the real time. Now the unfortunate part is going to be it'll take just a minute to get everything fully loaded. Wish there was a quick way to just launch a test. There probably was. Actually, then I'm really saying it out loud, but we're going for it nonetheless. I am still holding out hope. I haven't heard from Speed Bump, but I'm assuming we'll hear from him relatively shortly. All right, we'll see if that fixes the issue. Bear with me, y'all. I know you hear it. You get Nancy, but it hasn't launched just yet. It's going for it now. This is the moment of truth, everybody. Did I fix this issue? Loading a lot faster, probably because we've loaded it now twice now. It's just ready to go. Everything is still loaded. And there we go. We are good. So, got that back open. Gonna have to turn that off and that off now as we hop in, and we'll give you guys the usual where we rotate it so you can see exactly what direction the wind is facing for these guys. Quite the long straightaway for plenty of drafting opportunities and some fun moments. Just gonna check in on my co-host Jawa here, see if he might be joining me for this evening, and we'll go from there. All right. So, while everybody else gets loaded in, let's take a look. So I've got 9 racers here on the pro grid. We've got 5 racers over in the rookie grid. So keeping things light and simple. We're checking in with Brendan Diaz. He is one of the newcomers over on the pro event. Looks like he was feeling up to the challenge to kick things off, which is something we always like to see here in the Techly servers. We also see Thorn in that new racer number 69 fighting pretty well this season. I believe Thorn is actually at the top of the amateur class, so doing pretty well to represent. You can see there's a lot of longer straightaways here for some drafting and bump drafting opportunities to separate yourself from the grid. Seems like we're seeing some average lap times around the 3-minute mark. And I know when you look at the live times during the open practice weeks, you see some of these times are close together, but as these pro racers lock into the track, we see these times start to fall farther and farther. So let's see if they can build up that separation, as these turns are aptly named, heading through turn 9, which is the 9th turn of the track, as you can imagine, and now into turn 11. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So currently we've got Jump Raven with a 256.601 setting the pace. Wasey over in the rookie end of things is 259.9, and they'll have a couple newcomers in their event as well. Hoping to see some strong displays from those guys. We haven't seen anybody that's been moved over to the pro race join just yet. We'll see if they do jump in. That's going to be Noah F and Matt Doom, who were dominating pretty well in the rookie class, so we did shift them up. Did also see Max Yang and I believe Fudzy possibly drop down into the rookie event, so hopefully we'll see them get a chance to throw down some competitive laps today. 30-minute practice session followed by a 30-minute qualifying, so these guys do still have some time left on the clock to get comfortable with the track. 17 minutes remaining, and the track's only going to get warmer, so if they're struggling for grip, it's going to get easier as time goes on. So that's one rewarding thing about sticking it out. If you can figure out your line and get through some of this early, it'll be a little bit better long term. I do see we did finally get Sam GT into the event, so that is great news. We did have 2 weeks in a row of issues with real penalty, if I believe, but he is finally back on the grid, repping that Harbor Freight number 63 racer. always exciting to see our man in action. Looks like he's repping the Italian flag, if I'm not mistaken. One thing these guys are going to have to do is pay plenty of attention to what's going on around them. You can see that this track is kind of using a couple variations of layouts, so to speak, to maximize the amount of turns that they have to do. So they really have to be paying attention to their track map, listening to their spotter. These early laps in are really going to help them set the tone, figure out what it is they need to do and where they need to be going. See more and more brave racers hitting the grid. The rookie race is starting to fill up just as much as the pro race, though, so we're going to have two even battles. Here we are, definitely hoping to get that broadcast loaded for you guys, but no promises just yet. We are doing our best, though. Promise that much. Just adjusting a couple things. Oop, the broadcast in. Don't mind me. All right. So Sam crossing the line here. Let's see. Was this a clean lap? Was not. And oh, actually, that's not even going to be their starting lap. They're at a much further point down the grid there. Let's check in with Josh Fulton, as I believe he's on at least a hot lap. His last lap was at 5:27, so that leads me to believe he was on an out lap there. We see him now coming down yet another straightaway. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 long straightaways for these guys to really break away from each other, or again work together on those bump drafting tactics. Very hard to tell which way it's going to go tonight. Now that our ranking system has changed, it's a little dangerous working with people outside your class, because they could actually get enough points to bump you out of the way. Every position matters now, so all of that teamwork we tend to see might not come about as easily here in Season 7 as people start to realize how these points come and go. I am looking now. Only Seb Bellew and Jump Raven have broken the 3-minute mark so far. We do have 18 laps from Josh Fulton, and he's sitting just on the edge with a 3-minute and half a second. And the rest of the racers still just settling in. You see Brett Anderson has thrown in a couple practice laps in the private session, setting himself up with a 3:03. And then over in the rookie event, we are seeing some low threes. Only one member currently below the 3-minute mark. We'll see how they fare as we see more and more hit the grid. Just trying to keep an eye on everything here, make sure that nobody's in need, but doesn't seem like it. Pogo looking for a way to catch up to Josh Fulton, maybe get a little bit of a draft opportunity in for themselves. Jump Raven does find a 2:57.176, so getting closer and closer to that 56 that they hit in earlier sessions. I am going to assume that 2:56 is a during the warmer weather, as my co-host Jawa pops in. Good, good. You excited for a nice long one today? Yeah, I mean, these guys are really taking on quite the challenge today. You can see this endurance layout of Bahrain really killer. And it takes every turn and every opportunity. Yeah, and I mean, this is a nice little warm-up for the next season event, which is Fonteni. think we're only going to see probably 3 or 4 laps out of that race with how long that track is. But yeah, it's only going to get crazier and crazier as the season goes on. So these guys are really going to have to start dialing in. Today's a good one. Yeah, I mean, we are missing Parmesan. He's one who usually joins around qualifying time. We have had a few racers comment that they won't be able to make today's events. We have yet to have Jump Raven, Parmesan, and Pet Zabo get to be all have a three-way battle together. So that's one that we're waiting for. I hear cars. I just don't see him anywhere. Well, as we find, looks like Brendan Diaz working his way through turn 22 out of 23. A lot of turns to try and keep in the back of your head here. A lot of them look very, very similar. So easy to make mistakes, easy to forget which straightaway you're on, as we mentioned before you joined us, Jawa, but they have 4 straightaways today. Yeah, I mean, this is where things get tricky at this point in the season. With our dynamic ranking this season, people are going to be cautious to work with people outside of their current ranking because they don't want to bump themselves off. So we'll see how far that camaraderie really goes. So Brendan Diaz still looking for that clean one. So that one, a 6:18. So I'm going to assume that was actually an outlap. And we'll see what the Fly Emirates race car can do this time around. And yeah, Dino, we definitely got to get you a round wheel. These MX5 races are still a blast. It's nice having everybody in as equal machinery as it gets. You can see a lot of tight battles. The first 2 weeks of racing, we definitely saw some intensity, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see the same today. Again, it is a heightened fuel usage, so to speak, so they're going to have to do at least 1 pit stop, I believe 2 by the end of the race. Although I think we saw a fuel consumption 1-stop strategy in Macau, didn't we? I know it was a while ago. Still with me, Joe? We might have lost Jawa for a second, but I'm sure he'll be back. But yeah, anyway, for those who don't remember, in Macau, we actually had a few racers go into pits at the last lap of the race just because they weren't able to conserve midway through. And that final pit stop definitely cost them a handful of positions. You know, you're more than welcome to join us on the broadcast here. As one of the staff members, you should be able to just pop right in. We shouldn't have to invite you. So that will make your life a little bit easier as we head down the second starting straightaway, I think we can call that. Looking over to see if there's any messages. I don't see anything crazy. Everybody seems to be getting into their races okay, with the exception of one. I'm just going to pop on auto cam for a moment while I check in on the status there. Oh, you're good. All right, I'm just trying to give Woohoo a little bit of a hand there. It seems like he might be struggling to the rookie event, but we'll see how that one goes. Man, I never really got a good chance to look at Seb Value's car, but this really has some nice detail to it, this Williams racer. Ton of nice, familiar looking familiar looking sponsors and everything. I am going to try and leave it on autocam just for a little bit here and see if I can help Woohoo figure out what's going on. Just give me one moment. All right, I am mostly back. At some point, I might. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to reset the rookie event right before qualifying, which is always fun for everybody. Just fixing this. All right, I am actually back. We have done everything that we can do to try and assist with that. Looks like at the end of the practice time here in the pro event, Jump Raven and Nick Cruz stand on top as the only two to hit the 57s. So nice little way to start the battle, as we actually have 11 guys in the server, so a couple guys who haven't snuck out on track yet. That it does. And we lost town and everything. Man, this has been a lackluster practice. We got to get some stewards going. You know? 56 will likely end up being the goal for the very, very top guys in qualifying. I think sub 3 is going to be the competitive pace probably here in the pro event, all said and done. You see Josh Fulton creeping under it after 20 laps under the belt. So a lot of these guys, we might not see those sub 3 minutes until during the race. But I know they'll give us a nice little run for the money here during the final couple laps of practice. Yeah, absolutely. Well, as Sam tries to round off, he's the one who was unfortunately unable to join for a couple of events there just due to some real penalty issues. So he ends up being able to join on this one. I'm not sure exactly what changed, but I'm glad we were able to get it sorted out. I think it might have been some sort of a VPN related issue, if I understand correctly. But again, all said and done, things are sorted. So we are ready for another week of racing as Sam works his way towards Sector 3. And I think that might be the only thing that they're waiting for as far as this overtime goes in the practice session. Yeah. Sorry, don't mind me if I'm making a lot of noise here. All right. Looks like Sam is calling it on practice himself. Man, if you had $1 for every time I said all right during the practice session there, as I'm trying to get all my shit together, just get all my shit, get it together. You know what I'm saying? You get quite a few dollars, there. You know, didn't even string any of them together. Pulled no Matthew McConaughey's out, just regular solo, all rights. You know. Ooh. All right. I think it's funny that like just became his thing. Like he's a great actor. He's in so many movies. He's in so many like meaningful scenes and has so many great quotes in his movies. And what do we all know him for? All right. And you know what? Like it looks like he loves it too. Yeah, there's worse things to have to do, or worse images to have to maintain. Yes, 30-minute. The rookie race did extend to 35 minutes just because there were some issues, so we had to restart the server. Wanted to give them a little bit of extra time to join and make sure things were okay, which it does seem like it has. As our first couple racers head out on our end as well. And I'm gonna let you take things for a couple minutes here. Just gotta let the dogs out, and then we'll get the main broadcast going. Drone cam and all. All right, I'm back. Let's see what we missed. Looks like no clean laps yet. Must be one hell of a long one. Let's see. Did we get... Huh? It was probably me checking the battery on my headphones. Yep. Yeah, that was just letting me go. But it looks like we do have a broadcast going for the rookie event. So let's see if I can get that loaded for these guys to check out in our small viewer here. Switch that over. There you go. So in the bottom right of your screen now, you guys can take a look and see the rookie event that's going on. Looks like over on their end of things, we do have quite a few racers on the grid. We actually have 10 racers over there and 12 over here. So we're getting some good clean racing in. Yeah, and we do see a couple racers coming through for their first lap set. Seb Bellew, Brett Anderson, both hitting strong 3-minute ones, but Tommy Boy actually putting down a sub 3-minute to start things off. I do want to check in with Mogo. He's one that usually has a surprise lap or two in the bag, especially when it comes to these MX5s, and see what he's got as he's coming down the final straightaway into the final turn. Yeah, I mean, all of these turns are just named turn 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to have to get a little creative here, I think, with some of the more recognizable ones as we get familiar. 22 minutes left of qualifying, so plenty of time for us to get dialed in, you know? Yeah, so Mogo comes across with a 3:02, not able to break into that 3-minute or sub 3-minute grouping. We'll take a look over with Josh Fulton. We saw he did pull one off during practice. He does seem to be on a hot lap now with a tow from Pogo in front. Hopefully both of those racers are on hot laps and Josh isn't losing too much time trying to be careful. You can hear he's actually got a little bit of pressure behind him, maybe. That's actually Tommy Boy pretty far off in the distance, so he's okay for now. He doesn't seem to be close enough to really be taking advantage of the draft, but he's got a lot of track left to make that happen. One more straightaway after this one to try and find it in, as that 23 car is going to get a chance to get closer, but Pogo, knowing Josh is on a heater, going to stay aside and let him pull through. That's nice because it won't cost him time, but he will not get any advantage of a draft on this back straightaway, as I'm sure he was hoping. We're going to stick with the number 23 car heading down the final straightaway. You can hear the bee swarm of engines behind. That's Pogo and Tommy Boy all coming through for laps of their own. Pogo not going to have a clean one this time around, but is going to be trying to set himself up for a hot lap. So pressure all the same for Mr. Fulton. Makes a pretty strong turn into the final straightaway. We can't tell for certain where he stands as far as his overall delta, unfortunately, just because he's too far ahead of his outlap. But a 3:01 sets a pretty strong pace, as we see Tommy Boy come across the line with just a smidgen of improvement, going to a 58.4 as well. So these three guys are racing pretty strong together. Pogo didn't even have too bad of a lap, despite the one incident. So this might be a nice little grouping during qualifying to try and hitch your wagon to for any of our other guys watching the broadcast. Seems to be the proper train right now. Yeah, absolutely, and quite in a bastardized way. I mean, this is the wiggly bits just all around. Sector 2, relatively ruthless on these guys. A lot of tight turns with some weird apexes. The elevation of the track and the camera of the track really not doing them any favors, as you see even Tommy Boy with two consistent 258s taking a little spin there. Yeah, so we're going to hit on with this number 99 car, though, who did escape through the wiggly bits, now heading to the two straightaways where both of them, those entrance turns in, are absolutely crucial to your overall lap time. Pogo taking a little bit less of a wide entrance there, a nice tight one, which typically we see racers going wide for the acceleration. And it does not seem to be working out by the Delta. He's lost a couple tenths there. He'll have to make up for it on the final straightaway if he can, as he's trying to break in below that 3-minute mark himself, and he's toying with it. Needs to find a few more tenths. Yeah, and we sorry, just checking in to see if there's anybody else doing a couple of hot laps. Mogo seeing some big improvement further back on the grid, but we'll see first. Can Pogo get the sub 3? Oh, and he's close, but just barely not close enough. He'll miss out by only a couple of hundredths, and we'll be looking for the opportunity to get that one back. Jump Raven on a heater of his own a little further behind. He's currently 10 seconds up on his best time with 2 purple sectors in the bag. So I'm anticipating we might see that 56 right now. 29-degree track temps. So this is where the grip is starting to really set in for these guys and give them a little bit better opportunity to make something happen. Yeah, very, very strong lap indeed, and already off to the races on his next one. We're going to pause up for a second and see who he's got behind him. Looks like Seb Bellew in that Williams racer, already beating that 3-minute timer, where now 6 racers on the grid have managed to float into. We'll see if Seb can do the same. Or, well, actually, he already has, but we'll see if he can get into those 58s, which is the next target. That's a pretty big group there. Mogo was able to join in. As predicted, he pulled that sneaky lap out of his pocket. We'll see if the consistency comes into play. Seb Bellew is the... Sorry, you're saying? And on a track like this, consistency is key because there's so many areas where you can find yourself in a spin, and with a grid this close together, you're going to have to wait pretty long to get there. You mind talking real quick for me? Interesting. It seems like the Discord one hasn't actually been picking you up this whole time. It's possible.
If I can hear myself.
Let's see. Well, now you can talk again.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, only took us till 15 minutes of qualifying. You've been commentating to whoever's in the Discord, but I'm glad Green Carrot pointed that out for us. So I've just been, oh my God, I must sound like a crazy person, dude. I can't wait to watch the beginning of that broadcast back. That is awesome. The one where Buggy loses his mind. That's what we're going to call this week. Anyway, welcome Jawa to the stream. Now that you have just joined, you are not here up until this moment. How are you, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing just wonderful this evening. I'm excited to be here. I definitely have not seen any of the events so far. Love to see how tight the grid is. It's going to be a great day.
I think it is going to be a great day. Phenomenal how some things can work out. But you know what? We're here and we're going to have fun with it. 13 minutes left. I know we usually do some interviews. I think today we've had enough chaos going on to where you'll have to bear with us. I think we're just glad to be able to enjoy a race at this point.
You know, I think we can consider me being muted the entire time an interview in of itself.
Yeah,
that was something else. The
Dean,
best part is, Dean, is that I was responding to you the entire time.
I was gonna say,
responding to your comments.
Xiao was really trying to keep up the conversation with you every time I stepped away and stuff like that. Oh boy. Well, here we go.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there, but oh well.
Who knows?
Anyway, Josh Fulton coming across the line, still chasing after that sub-3. He was able to do it in practice, so I'm sure he'll do it over the course of the next 12 minutes here, but with a lap this long, he's not going to get as many attempts as he usually would. That 30-minute qualifying goes by way quicker than you want it to, and any mistake is costly. But you still got to bring it all the way around. Teleporting to pits does you no good. But we're going to use this as an opportunity to bounce over to Sam, who's trying to sit in the tailwind of Tommy Boy up front. I believe that's Tommy Boy. I'm trying to check in here. Yes.
That would be Tommy Boy.
Week 3, we got to be used to deliveries by now, especially when Tommy Boy and Sam have been using the same ones for a long time now, over a year, I'd say. How long have we been doing this? 2 years? 3? 2?
It's been about 2, yeah.
2?
I think
yeah.
I joined in like late 23, I think, something like that.
Okay, that sounds right.
Something like that. I forget.
I trust you.
I've been here since...
Yeah.
I didn't lie to you. I've been here since November of 2023.
Went from 5-person MX5 races at Laguna to running 2 45-minute races at Bahrain at the same time. So
yeah, running races all day, every single week. 2 races a day, almost every single day.
I was gonna say not all day, but yeah, 2 races a day, not too shabby. As Sam comes across the line, currently with a 3:05 on the board. I think nope, that was their hot lap, so they're still looking to shave off a little bit here and there. This is a tougher one, really not that forgiving, so these racers are going to have to try and make up that time wherever they can. I'm just going to check in with Pogo, as he's one we're really hoping to see break underneath that 3-minute marker if he can. He's been getting closer and closer ever so slowly, and seems like he's at least off to a good start now. He does have a little bit of pressure behind him in the form of Thorn, who's going to try and use him for a little bit of inspiration. Thorn already off to a slow start on their lap, so they're going to have to try and find time in these further back sectors. Pogo with a little bit of a wiggle, definitely going to cost them overall time on the Delta. Currently, looks like 1.15 off of Fulton's time is the gap that they're trying to close to take a position. Oh, and they're not going to be able to on that lap. A little bit of another spin, and they're going to call it there. Pogo, seeing that there's 4 seconds separating himself and the man up front, is going to assume he can find these 7/10 on these last couple corners. And he's got Tommy Boy behind him, hoping he can, because he's on a heater of his own, creeping closer and closer to the 56s. Oh, it'd be nice for him to try and catch a little bit of a draft. He's at least got one car in the middle of the grid trying to pick up the pace. I was curious to see if he'd try and loop in. He's flashing to let him know that he's on a hot lap. Brendan Diaz, being the gentleman, gonna pull back and let him have at it. Well, Jawa, what do you think we got in for store tonight, as some of these guys put more laps down?
I think these drivers will become more and more confident with the track as the night goes on, and as the track develops over time. We do see Dancy now, one of our other racers that's really quick, getting out finally to do an out lap and try and put a time on the board. I think that the gap will definitely shrink as the night goes on, and as they throughout this 45-minute race, as the guys that are sitting higher up on the totem pole, if you would, or on the leaderboard, will be burning those tires a little bit quicker. And after 45 minutes, there definitely is going to be a little tire wear. Pit stop strategy is going to be another big one for tonight's event. Some people will try and do a 2-stop and run a lighter fuel loads. Others will try and do the 1. I am curious to see which one is more favorable, though, because like we saw last week, the 2-stop ended up punishing quite a few drivers that thought that they might be quicker or just miscalculated the fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely detrimental to the strategy. Now, the lap times are just a little bit longer here than Macau, if I remember correctly. So I think that strategy might still be viable. I feel like it's got equal twists and turns. The only difference is those straightaways are a little bit more spread out, and some of these turns are a little bit more throttle off, as you can see from the telemetry in the corner there. We have seen that weather change as the sky starts to break up a little bit. It's now 30 degrees on the track, so it gives these guys even more grip, as they do have a little bit of tailwind down this stretch where Dance currently is 18 seconds up on his lap time, which was a 3:25.5. That's actually a pretty quick out lap, all things considered. And thankfully it gives us a way to actually see what he's got going on. So if he gets to the 30-second up, which I'm not sure that he will, that's a 2:55 for reference. So right now he's actually sitting pretty comfortably around the 3-minute mark. That's going to be a strong first lap, and something he needs this late in the qualifying session, as almost all of our racers have been able to find their way at least to within striking range of the 3-minute timer. Josh Fulton finding his way under it.
And Josh is barely creeping in there at that 2:59.967, putting him in the under 3-minute mark club, as we could say. I now only have 5 drivers on the grid that have not been able to get under that limit or under that time. It is definitely a tough track to get around, especially when one corner will ruin an entire lap, and just seeing how long this lap is requires so much precision and accuracy.
Yeah, and right now a lot of these guys have tons of laps under their belt if you count at the private practice sessions and stuff, so a lot of comfort there. Whereas I think this might actually be Dance's first lap on the server with server condition. So maybe not first lap with the combo, but I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Definitely. I'm hoping to see some great times from Dancy here as he comes around one of the final long straights here.
He's on pace for at least a 2:59. Can he creep into those 58s? It looks like it might be a mid 58 if he can keep this pace through the final corner. It's going to be a little bit close here, as he manages to keep some speed, losing a couple thousandths here, but I don't think anything that's going to cost him. He'll be probably in the high 58s all said and done, as he crosses with a 58.997. So he gets a little closer than I thought he would, but makes it over the line nonetheless. We'll jump now to Sam S on an out lap, getting ready to send one home. He's got about 2 attempts left in the tank with the time on the board here. I think he'll be able to make it.
I do as well. I think Sam has a couple seconds to shave off here. If not in quality, definitely can happen in the race. Starting in the back isn't always a bad thing either. You do get a first row seat to the chaos that normally is turn 1, and I do suspect we'll have some of that chaos today with how long this start straight is and how deep and hard you have to brake.
Yeah, and Sam is going to be in a nice position when that draft train starts up. Once they, get to speed altogether. Wow, that was one hell of a line through there, and he actually didn't start losing time until he was on the straightaway. So it was more about the acceleration lost than the speed through the corner. A nice little recovery, though.
Definitely a little Tokyo Drift moment. Always good. Thorne was doing it for the publicity and the stunt, the stunt points. That's all it was.
Absolutely, and does find a lot of time through that final corner, so at least has a chance to get close to the 3s. I don't think he's going to be able to make just enough back up. Nope, just so a 301.2, but you did see he had the potential for a moment there, one bad corner, and he missed out. So I'm sure we'll see that sub 3 coming, probably even on this lap, as he's made it at least around with enough time to try for 2 more. Trying to see if anybody is relatively close together. I think we got Brennan Diaz trying to chase down, I think that's the Williams up front of Seb Bellew. So that's a nice little motivation there. As you can hear someone behind them as well, that's going to be Pogo. All these guys trying to race around to see, I'm imagining they're just trying to get around to see if they can put one more lap in at this point, as they all seem to be a little bit out of contention. Let's see if we can grab Seb Bellew. Yep, he's a little bit off of his lap as well there.
Brandy's going a little bit deep there into that right-hander. Slows him down quite a bit and drops him off the pace of Seb. Not going to get any more of a tow, at least for this sector. This obviously isn't the sector that you need to have a tow in, but coming down to these straights, you definitely want it.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to want to close out that gap over the next 3 corners. That's going to be his final opportunities to make something happen, but Seb is out on his own. Now, Seb does have the faster lap time at the moment, and it seems like Sector 2 is where a lot of that happens. It is the longest sector, nearly double the length, actually more than double the length of the first sector. So it's definitely one of the more important ones to nail. Every corner counts throughout that part, as Sector 1 and 2 largely involve these straightaways, and a lot of the time is really just getting from one end to the other in these slow speed MX5s. You can see that they don't necessarily top out, but these guys do hit some very, very high gear that I didn't think they, or I bet they didn't think they would throughout the season.
These long straights are going to give these guys a lot of opportunity for teamwork, not even teamwork, but a little bit of racecraft. It's almost like the north side. The straight is so long, there's a chance for a double overtake with that draft. So very important they play their cards right and decide to overtake when they feel it's best.
Absolutely. Now, we do see Pogo on an outlap currently. I'm trying to look around to see who might be making some moves. I do see Nick Cruz, actually, who we haven't really spent too much time on. And that's not necessarily fair to this number 5 car, who's got a 258.5 in the bag, pretty firmly planted in the top 5, and looking for improvement to try and take away that P4 from Mogo. Can he do it as he comes across the line? Now it's going to be very, very close. I don't think it's going to be enough. Oh, as he must have had a cut somewhere.
I think that final corner there just cut it just a little bit too far inside and received an invalid lap notification. Definitely unfortunate, but he does have another chance right here, as this is probably going to be this lap or the next one will be the last one of qualifying. As we see everyone on track right now just trying to get their laps in.
Yeah, and at
And that
this
confirms
point,
it.
I was going to say we are coming down to the end. This is going to be Dancy. So Dancy will be our last racer to come across the finish line. Let's try and race down there, as I believe. Is this where we are considering the flag? I want to say it's right here is
That's
where
fine
they're
right there.
ending it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think we have DRS today. Or somebody here entering the pits that looks to be the Timberwolves car of Brett Anderson, if am I right with that? I don't know.
Minnesota Wild is going to be a
Wilds.
hockey
Okay,
in the
okay.
cards today.
Apologies,
As
Brett. I'm not a hockey enthusiast, so I'll get that one down. Don't worry.
how dare ya? As we have, I actually didn't even see who just came across the line.
Well, hello, folks.
Good evening, Dean.
Dean, how are you?
I'm good. I thought I'd wait till qualifying was almost ended here before hopping in and taking your guys' smoke from you.
No, you're good. We got 45
did,
minutes to cover today. We could take all the help, man.
we did see actually that car jumping across the end there. That was Jump Raven who set his personal best on that last lap at 2:56. Absolutely flying.
Yeah, I'm expecting a 255 if he can get a little bump draft action from Tommy Boy during, I'm going to say lap 2 will be his best chance for that. If not, it's going to be quite a battle. I mean, with everything we're seeing, Tommy Boy needs to get out in front turn 1.
He's kind of poised for it though. In these cars, the turn 1 allows for a lot of overtaking here, especially it's built so wide for those F1 cars that go through, and it's a lot of racing space for these MX5s. It'll be very interesting to see what happens, especially sector 2.
Yeah, and I do think that with all of these times so close together, everybody actually is going to at least have something to fight for. Again, we might have those differences in fuel strategies. I haven't cheated by peeking in to the EU race stats just yet. I might actually go take a little peek since we have a minute here and see exactly how those guys are doing. Let's see what the race today brought those EU guys. So I'm going to pull up their standings from today just to give us a sense of what we might see. Again, the differences in lap times could vary. We did see a couple 55s, though, on their end, so that'll be something for these guys to watch for. And it looked like we saw about 16 laps in total. I'm trying to see if I can get a sense of pit stop. And it looks like a one stop is a viable strategy if you do it properly. I'm not seeing too many. Oh, I do see a couple of two stops in there as well, though. So that is something that you have to be cautious for. It looks like a couple of guys had to pit on their last lap over in the EU event. So who's to say that we don't end up with the same thing over here? Looks like Jump Raven actually is going to go for one more. So let's see if we can latch onto that real quick. Is there actually on an out lap, just trying to get a little bit more practice in? That's what makes them a pro. But we'll tune in with
that and the Canadian flag right beside his name. As a fellow Canadian, it is nice to see us up there. 1-2, I believe. So that is also helping. We're very fast up here.
Yeah, a 1-2 as Seb Bellew has managed to grab 4/10 from Tommy Boy in his final qualifying lap. We are with Nick Cruz, who's going to be the one to set us off this evening. As I gave the rookies 5 extra minutes of qualifying, and it looks like these two events still might start at the same time. That's pretty funny.
Classic pros, always pushing the limits as far as they can, making sure they get as much time on this track. which it's a very fun track to drive. This is probably one of my favorites for the MX5. It's long, but in a 45-minute race, definitely lots of racing can happen here.
Yeah, and we do see that sun is already starting to set a little bit here as we reach the end of the 30 minutes. I almost wonder if at the end of 45 if we'll be in the dark. Don't think we were last week, but who knows? Maybe we'll have a little bit of nighttime saga, or at least some deep sunset hours going on. As Nick Cruz pulls into the pits, our final racer to cross the line. Oh, you know what? I know why that line's over there. It's because this is the endurance layout, and this is actually modified for driver swaps, I would imagine. So that way anyone performing a driver swap has completed the lap by the time they return to their pit box. That's my theory.
That does make sense. That does make sense. Especially in the Assetto Corsa world, we do some things that we have to do just to make things work. So
exactly. Now we do have a couple racers who aren't here today. You won't see any drivers in the cars, but you'll get a chance to look at some of the liveries that are signed up for the season. We do have obviously the racers who are here. This one I'm still waiting to see whose it is, because it is one of my, like, this thing is sweet. Oh, name's right there, Teo. Oh, very nicely done. We've got Sam here, Dancy here, and present. Same goes for Seb. That's going to be Brendan Diaz in the Fly Emirates. Got Thorne in the Noob Racer, Josh Fulton in the Techly Racer. Tommy Boy in the Ferrari today? No, that's not Tommy Boy in the Ferrari.
I believe that's Jump Raven.
Yeah, Ferrari. Jump Raven in the Ferrari. Pogo in the DLRT race team. Unfortunately, not present is the Bit Defender Tommy Boy. There we go, in the Baby Metal Racer. Then again, another Bit Defender not present. Mogo in the Planet Express. One of the absolute classics here. Oh, what a good dog.
I think that was in season 0, was it not, that we saw?
Yeah, that's probably
Mogo in that.
One of the first, if not the actual first one that we did. So it was kind of nice to see that one there. But we got 40 seconds until the big moment here. Looks like the rookies are still waiting for their qualifying session to fully wrap up, but I'm sure it will momentarily. Ooh. Uh-oh. As looks like the rookie race had a little bit of an incident, so I'm going to let you guys commentate the beginning while I try and fix that for them.
That sounds good. We got lights away. And off we go. Nice little defense right off the bat.
See Tommy going around the outside here. Does seem to have had a better start. Doesn't get on the brakes quite as late as Jump Raven does. Does make it around the outside as we see Seb creeping onto the back of Tommy Boy here as these two. It was Tommy. It's the curve and spun around. Heavy fuel must have not been something he was used to, and it just got him spun around. Unfortunate.
It's going to send Tommy all the way back to 12th. That is a tough way to start the race, that's for sure. But 45 minutes, I'm sure we'll see Tommy back up fighting for a podium at least.
I would definitely have to agree, as Thorne looks like he may have been overtaken there by Brendan Diaz, or just backed out of the overtake, one of the two, but now falls back to about 0.7 behind. Sam S now looking for a move on Thorne within striking distance, only 0.4 now. Looks to have had a slightly different line into the S's here. Sorry, just got a ping there. Now on board with Nick Cruz as he taps that curve, gets a little bit of oversteer. Now on board with Mogos. Mogos looking for a move on Nick Cruz. Doesn't find the gap to take there. but definitely might be able to down this next longer straight. As we see Dancy stopped on the outside of the track, must have had a slight issue. Very unfortunate to see as Brett Anderson takes that P10 and continues on. That puts Tommy Boy back in P11 now. Already made one position up. Good to see. Now Mo again in striking distance of Nick Cruz. Does he have enough of a draft down this straight? It doesn't seem to be. Does get on the brakes much later, takes a slightly wider line, may give himself a better exit there.
All right, I am back, as it looks like I missed quite a little bit of action there. We've got Josh Fulton trying to chase back down the pack up front.
We are poised to see a move here by Mogo. I believe he's going to take over Nick Cruz on the next hard braking point. He's got to be brave on those brakes if he wants to get past Nick and really put a fight to Seb and Jump Raven, who are kind of pulling away a little bit from these three guys in this pack for a third on the podium.
Yeah, we're already starting to see some separations early. I do see Tommy Boy working to claw his way up already, but before we can get to that, looks like Mogo's going to take that opportunity you were looking for and try and get that position before the next lap. Nick Cruz going to try and line himself up for a switchback opportunity. Ooh, and he'll be able to. As
Mogo almost pulled that off, almost.
Yeah, forced to use the runoff. Does get to rejoin as DRS is enabled here at the end of lap 1. I don't think any one of our racers are going to be able to really take advantage of it, unfortunately. Speaking of taking advantage, looks like Tommy Boy and Brett Anderson know the name of the game, and that is catch up, as Tommy Boy comes flying down the straightaway here. He's not going to go for the late break opportunity, but Brett gives him the full wide open door. Tommy Boy's going to cut to the inside and try and lead Brett, Dancy, and Sam back up front. A little bit further up the line, Josh Fulton trying to defend Mogo, moving slowly up the grid as he creeps closer and closer to the number 5 car of Nick Cruz. These guys are watching as Jump Raven and Seb float in the distance.
This is a part of the track where it has seemed that Nick is struggling a little bit to keep up with those two guys ahead, and it is slowing down Josh and Mogo just a little bit coming on through here. They tend to catch right up to him, and then it's a little bit of extra contact there by Josh, and that solves their Nick Cruz issue. They should now have some open air to try and hunt down Seb and Jump Raven there. Mogo and Josh will probably work together, I assume, as they're going to need to close that 3.5 second gap here.
Yeah, Nick's going to be thankful that that grouping is split up a little bit because he doesn't lose too many positions. Only 2 spots to Pogo and Brendan Diaz in the mix-up there, and we'll still have plenty of time to work his way back to that one. We are going to jump now, though, as it seems Tommy Boy will get a little angle on him. Is going to make a move up on our racer, Nick Cruz.
It will be interesting to see. Tommy was giving drafts bumps to Brett on the straight. Is he going to do the same thing here with Nick and just use the entire field to try and get back up after that turn 1 incident that he put himself way back down at 12th? He's done wonders already, getting all the way back up to 8th, and it does look like he is going to use the field to his advantage, something I know Tommy loves to do, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know Tommy Boy really does try to look for that last second move to the inside, and I don't think he's going to see that chance until that final turn into the straightaway, where we did see Mogo make that move on Nick earlier. So Nick has seen it before. Does he defend to the inside this time, or did that bump drafting make him feel a little bit more comfortable with that baby metal race car sitting behind him? I mean, there is one more straightaway to go. It is in Tom's interest to stay close and try and pick up just one more draft before getting away.
It does look like Nick did put a little bit of defense there. He moved slightly to the right as we entered into that braking area, so definitely worried about Tommy Boy a little bit, you can see, but hopefully they can work together and catch back up. They are closing in on that group up ahead, so that is a positive to see.
Yeah, and Tommy Boy goes for that same move he pulled on, I want to say, Brett Anderson earlier. This time with a little bit more defense from Nick Cruz behind. Nick not willing to give up another position easily, as both racers starting to catch up to Brendan Diaz ahead, but still losing time to the rest of the grid. These guys are capable of being with that top 5. So every moment costs them. They're going to have to start to think about some alternative strategies as far as their pit stop goes, and hope that maybe the guys up front are pushing hard enough to need 2 stops.
Absolutely wonderful there by Nick to hold on to that position. He lost it on that turn 1, but he just held his way on the outside, and now he's making moves to put another car in between him and Tommy, which I'm sure he would love to have at this point of the race.
And he goes for
Oh.
an interesting one, kind of returns the favor. As we saw, that's where him and Josh Fulton had the contact earlier. That one does allow for Tommy Boy to get through into P6, as we now have our band of misfortune here together. Brendan Diaz not too far behind them, looking to catch up. I'll take a look at this gap because I see a little bit of a battle going on further back. It looks like Thorne trying to find a way past the Harbor Freight Racer, checking every angle, really making Sam work for it here. As you can see, the nose of that new racer looking for the opportunity, and does find it, as we lose control of the drone cam for just a moment. Speaking of finding opportunities, it seems Dancy was looking for the chance on Nick Cruz, but wasn't able to get it himself. Now Brett Anderson will be able to provide the bump draft to try and catch them up.
I'm going to be very interested to see if anybody does try a move into this breaking point right here. It's not really made for it, but I'm sure with that long straight and how close people are going to get, that somebody at some point is going to make a move there. And if they pull it off, it might be one of the best moves we'll see here in this race.
Yeah, and speaking of moves, Tommy Boy is already moving closer and closer to lining himself up for one. He has shaved a second off of Pogo in that last sector alone. Sorry, 2 seconds off of Pogo in that last sector alone. So this is going to be a big lap for him. Can he close up this 2-second distance and work his way into the top 5? He's currently leading that pro class. This is going to be key for him. And I'm just looking up and down the grid here. We see really the only pack that's forming is that battle behind Tom for P7 between Nick Cruz, Dance, and Brett Anderson. Plenty of race left. We still have the pits to go, and we've seen that there can be mistakes even within those pits. So hopefully that doesn't get mistaken.
And we do see that the top 2 guys just keep kind of pulling away. There's the gap between second and third now is at 4 seconds. Mogo is doing his best to keep up, but that just keeps going and going further and further. With the gap between Seb and Jump has been more or less the same now for the last couple of laps. So they're in sync. They're just doing their thing. I'm sure Seb will try and make a move closer to the end of the race. I think he's going to be okay with just sticking on to Jump there. And those 2 are kind of cementing what looks like to be podiums today, minus errors on themselves. They've done great in the opening 10 minutes of this race here.
Yeah, and we do see that Tommy Boy, although he's closing the distance to Pogo and even Josh Fulton a little bit ahead, is not really chipping off too much time to Jump Raven, who I know is going to be his target. Tommy Boy's fastest lap, a 2:58.3. Seb Bellew, a 2:58.2. So really is going to be hard to make it that far up the grid. Even Mogo is lapping dangerously close to that time, only a couple tenths away. I don't know what he's going to be able to make happen unless he really digs down deep and starts pulling out those 56s we know he's capable of.
We do see him right now kind of getting close to those 2:57s on this lap here, so he is pushing a personal best right now. Tommy Boy's just continuing to push and push and push. We'll see if any of these guys want to make a move though at the back. It's kind of been equal and fair for the last lap here. They kind of just stuck all within that 1 second of each other, taking the toes and not making any bold moves at this point, which maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's all they want to go for. But at some point, you're going to have to make a dive or make a move on track so that you can get those points in the season. As with a 5-race season, all those points are extremely important right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know, with a race like this, you never know what could happen up front. The last thing you want to do is be stuck in dirty air or losing lap times just because you're getting comfortable, when you could have opportunities like this. Tommy Boy climbing his way back into the top 5 here as we begin the 5th lap of the race. 32 minutes remaining, so plenty of time for him to continue working his way up as he uses turn 1 to secure the position against Pogo. And looks like Dancy and Nick Cruz had similar ideas heading into turn 1, as we see the pack almost get shaken up there, but everybody returns to their usual spots. Tommy Boy now 2 seconds away from Josh Fulton. We'll check back in there. I just don't want to miss this opportunity. Brett's been creeping closer and closer to Dancy, really applying the pressure for him to make a move on that number 5 car. So we'll have to see if he's able to.
It does look like at some point here, Seb did have something happen in this lap, as he has lost over 1.5 seconds on Jump Raven in just this lap alone. So definitely something happened there that we should keep an eye on. Maybe he can make it back, but he's definitely falling off the pace at this point here.
Yeah, I do see a 47.5 on his Sector 1, where these guys are all typically in those high 46s. Jump Raven did have a personal best Sector 1 that time, so I'm sure that didn't help as those guys worked their way through Sector 2.
An absolute
and Jesus,
massive lunge there by Dancy at that point there, almost taking out Nick Cruz again. They got really close at that turn, so we'll see if that shapes up in the next lap or two. I think that we could see some jumps happen, which would be very nice to see at this point.
Yeah, the patience is definitely thinning back there. I thought Tommy Boy was going to be able to close it a little bit more than he was actually able to on that last stretch, but Dance does manage to pull himself right into drafting range. This is going to be a big moment, as he's going to try and line himself up on Nick Cruz, and he goes for the bump.
All right, I thought we might have a move into this corner, the corner I was really hoping for. I thought we might see Dance go for it. He was definitely having the space there that he could have tried at least a move, but I will see Tommy Boy. Can he make that same move stick again at the turn 20, I believe it is, and get back into 4th? Like I said, I believe Tommy was going to be getting back into those podium positions, so he's definitely done that quite a bit faster than I expected him to be getting up to these positions, that's for sure. Josh with beautiful defense on that, taking that inside line, holding Tommy Boy to the longer part of the track. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to stop it, but
a little bit of rubbing,
a little bit of racing. Everything's good between buddies, I believe, and we'll see if Josh can hold on. He does have the inside line, which is the place where Tommy likes to be. So Tommy's going to be taking the outside of turn 1 this time, and that's not where he normally goes.
Ooh, and he pulls right in behind that Techley racer.
Josh holding off perfectly. Exact defense that you want to see right there. And we have Brett Anderson making a move on Dancy as well. It looks like he got pretty close there into turn 1. But masterful defense by Josh. Oh, Tommy Boy later on the brakes. Can he get it?
Really using the track. And Tommy Boy is really going as wide as he can through there. Oh, looking for every curb as the Techley racer picks up another body in Sector 2. Just a little racing incident, though, as these guys are just going hard wheel to wheel. I don't think it was anyone's fault necessarily at the glance of the broadcast.
Yeah, it does allow Pogo a chance, though. He is going to gain from Tommy Boy's aggressive move there. I do see Tommy Boy's already pulling away though. This man is just in another dimension, it seems like today. He is making all the moves.
Yeah, he's
See
a
if Pogo
man
can
possessed.
hold on. I do remember racing against Tommy in these, and he has always been a man possessed in these cars. He just knows how to get the most out of them, and if it wasn't for that really unfortunate turn one incident that he put himself into, I think we would see Tommy Boy battling for first right now. So.
Oh, and I thought we were going to see it. Dancy was looking for the move on Nick Cruz, was not able to get it. Oh, and how's that for perfect? Just the bruh header perfectly sums up the moment, giving him a little flash of an apology there, letting him know it wasn't anything intentional as they keep on moving. We jump a little bit further up the grid, though, as Tommy Boy finding himself in striking distance again. So only really took him about 2 laps to get back to this shot. Or sorry, a lap to get back to this shot.
Okay, here we go. Same place, same move. We'll see if Josh is able to defend it the same way. Definitely more distance this time over Tommy Boy to close in on Josh, so he can be a little bit more aggressive on the brakes, which, having seen their last battle, Tommy is definitely more aggressive on his braking than Josh is, but Josh is just lining those lines up perfectly to make sure that there's nowhere for Tommy to go to actually finish the pass. You know, he might get side by side, he might get a little ahead, but at the end of the lap, or at the end of the turns, Josh just finds a way to hold up and keep that half bit. But Tommy getting the inside line here, I think this might be the move made, as we have a little bit of a lockup by Josh, and he'll try and stick on to the back of Tommy Boy as he goes hunting down some Mogo.
Yeah, we do have our first pit, this time coming from Brendan Diaz. We're going to look a little further back to see if Dance is able to make that move he's been lining up on Nick Cruz. Not able to. So we're going to jump back again and see if Josh Fulton can get his position back from Tommy Boy, which he will not. So a little bit of exciting action between the two battles there, as we see Tommy Boy finally able to pull through. Now has 7.5 seconds to make up to the group ahead, as we see our other pack behind, this time the battle for P7, also 7 seconds ahead of their next grouping. So these guys are starting to pretty evenly and consistently form some groups based on their average lap time. So it's kind of nice to see as the rookie race finally takes off.
It'll be nice to see if Brett is able to hold off Cruz and Dance. They are fighting very hard between each other, and it's really to the advantage of Brett, who I think doesn't really have the pace per lap, but he's just being a little bit more consistent than these two, and it's really paying off. So if he can just keep this consistency, I think he might just benefit from the fact that he's got two very aggressive drivers behind him battling very hard for these positions.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw Brett take advantage when these guys spun each other out. It was a big moment for him to carry through into P7. And it was right here where he was able to make that happen. However, this time around, these guys able to do it cleanly. And Brett's still starting to walk a little bit, a couple hundredths at a time by the looks of things on our timings board. So pretty impressive from Brett.
Yeah, Brett has already lost. He already gained back almost a second on Pogo there, and don't look now, but Tommy Boy is now within 6.5 seconds of Mogo, so he is still pushing along. We'll see if a pit stop can help him, or if it's going to hurt him, as that 6.8 seconds can go pretty quick for Tommy Boy. It looks like he's closing that down real fast.
Yeah, we do see Seb Bellew is going to be our first lead car into the pits. Mogo following directly behind, as Jump Raven going to stretch it out for one more. So that's a pretty strong strategy by Jump, trying to make that one stop a guarantee, and it'll shave off a little bit of time as far as how much you need to fuel the car, considering how long each of these laps are. We do see Brett Anderson and Dancy are all going to opt in for the pit strategy. Where does this put Nick Cruz along the leaders, though?
we do also see Josh, who went for the longer stint as well. So maybe just trying something different to see if he can get past Tommy Boy again and keep up with him. Definitely the alternative strategy in this race to do that is to extend this first set. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the top 4 on the grid, all opting to try and stretch things out a little bit longer. Brendan Diaz going for the undercut strategy, and looks like Sam is also going to try and opt to stick things out for a little bit longer. So that'll be an interesting one, as Nick Cruz staying in front of Seb Bellew for the moment, who's trying to make up a little bit of time on jump.
It's quite amazing to see how fast Seb was able to get those tires back heated up and right on the back of Nick Cruz here, and hopefully putting up a good enough lap that once jump goes in, he's able to pass him or at least close that gap that had gotten just to about 4.5 seconds there. So definitely needing something to help close that here.
And just with the way the fuel works, I'm pretty sure everybody is going to have to pit on at least this lap. Could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain. So if that's the case, we'll get a good chance right now to see where everybody does actually come out. As Jump Raven enjoying some very open air right now, 21.6 seconds separating him and the next car. Obviously, Josh Fulton, Pogo, Nick Cruz all still needing to pit, so isn't the best judge for where things are at.
You do see that in that pit, Mogo has made up about 2 seconds on Seb. And if you're looking at Tommy Boy, he is now also within 5.5 seconds. So that, what I'm assuming is 2, 3, 4 right now, is starting to kind of clump together. And we'll see if they work together to try and chase down the number 1, or if they're just going to full out battle for those podiums. It'll be very interesting. I expect to see some battles within the next couple of laps between them as well.
Yeah, so we're going to stick with Jump Raven here, as the cars behind him are also going to pull in for their pits, and it will come down to where Seb Bellew comes out, or rather where Seb Bellew manages to be when Jump Raven gets out of the pits. It is a long pit lane, huh?
Very long pit lane. This might be the longest pit lane I have seen. Definitely in any of the races I've been in. So you do see everybody else jumped in, and
there is Seb Bellew. Wow, he's got a lot of speed.
Now
he's got a lot of speed.
That's quite the makeup. That extended lap definitely not helping Jump there. Seb now within a second, going to be on some tires that are in heat. Then Jump is now in some trouble. And then you see Mogo as well has closed in on Seb. So this top 3 has really clumped together, and it's going to be a fun second half of the race, I think, up in the front.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Fulton finds himself 10 seconds behind Tommy Boy, with Pogo 1 second behind him. So I'm almost wondering if something happened there. We do see Thorne going around right now, looking to catch up to, looks like, Sam in front. As I think things are just adjusting a little bit. Although Sam does seem to be a whole lap down. I'm not sure if that's correct or not.
Yeah, there does appear to be something going on with the timing board with Sam, which just doesn't seem right. So
yeah, we'll see what happens when Sam gets around to the pit lane, if that corrects itself, as everybody else has completed a lap since their pit stop. So that could be where that issue lies. But Jesus, we've got Seb Bellew applying the pressure to Jump Raven. Looks like Jump needed a minute to get those tires in the window, but Seb, already having pit, is on fire. So this could be the opportunity he was looking for. If there was going to come a chance, it's now.
Jump has also definitely changed the way that he has been driving over the last few laps. He is very worried about Seb. He's taking the inside defensive line all throughout Sector 2, definitely slowing him up and slowing Seb a little. Mogo is now with him 1.5 seconds, and we see Tommy Boy just kind of sticking at that 5.5 second gap.
With Seb putting a nose in on the outside, knows he's not going to be able to make it happen, but just wants to send the message that he's there. Can he look to the inside on this turn to the final straightaway? Not able to. I guess this is a little bit of a deceiving name if I call this one the final, but there's just too many straightaways. There's too many names.
There is too many turns on this endurance track, that's for sure. Definitely one of the hardest parts about driving this track is the amount of turns you have to remember.
And speaking of remember, it seems like Seb had a little issue remembering the line into that one in the previous straightaway, as he lost that opportunity to jump Raven and puts himself into a dangerous snapping distance to Mogo behind, who's going to try to apply the pressure for P2.
We have a error made by Tommy Boy, who's now slipped from 5.5 seconds to 8 seconds back. So something definitely happened. It looks like fourth might be all he's going to get in this race, as he's got quite a comeback to make to catch these top guys who are going to battle for that top of the podium here. As Mogo, does he bump draft with Seb? Does he try and close that up, or is he going to try and make a move here at the end of this straight?
I think at this point you'd want to go for a bump draft. You see you guys are both in pretty close range to that car up ahead. If you can force those two into a fight, you know you have much better odds of making it through the both of them, and at least keeping that lead car in your striking distance. Making someone else do your dirty work, you know?
You definitely don't want to let Jump go. Fighting here between second and third would more or less guarantee a win for him. I would say, especially on this track where a slight battle can cost you a couple of seconds pretty easily with how big and long this track is. Ooh, we see Mogo. Nice correction there. Almost lost his rear end on one of those bumps and those curves, which are very deceiving on this track, where you think you can take them and touch them a little bit too hard, and they'll just send your back end spinning. So
yeah,
catch himself in the battle.
I'm thinking Seb is starting to spend a little bit of time on his mirrors here. We see he's slowly dropping a little bit further back from Jump Raven, so he might just be trying to keep Mogo within that drafting range because he's hoping for that bump opportunity. The question is, can he make it happen? Mogo a half second out, and it doesn't look like he's creeping too much closer, too much faster, so won't be able to help Seb. These two are slowly going to enter a battle of their own now.
As it does just look at Jump, just keeps his consistency, keeps pulling ahead. It's a 10th here, a 10th there, but they're just not able to get it back, and Mogo's applying a ton of pressure here to Seb. And I just think Seb is definitely, you're right, watching his mirrors just a little too much. As they go side by side through that turn, that is a pucker moment for sure. If you are on the inside, that you hope that guy doesn't turn into you, because you have nowhere to go if he does.
Yeah,
Seb definitely pushing Mogo off to the side there. Very nice defense as much as he can.
But Mogo goes with a late move. We've seen that sand hit him before, but he does not let it happen again. This time, getting through into P2 ahead of Seb Bellew. And I don't know what else can rhyme with that. That just happened to work out perfectly. As Seb Bellew now on the hunt to try and get that one back. Tommy Boy already made up a 1.5 seconds to the shenanigans. Jump Raven has cleared a 1.5 seconds to the shenanigans. These guys starting to cost themselves, but the battle is afoot. Ooh, as Mogo's got a little bit of a recovery there, putting Seb right back into drafting range, and we're going to have round 2 throughout the next sector.
It'll be very interesting to see now, with that gap to number 1 having increased so much, to these two start working together, realizing that fighting was probably not the most smart move on their behalf to try and take that win. Or do you think they've kind of just taken it that Jump's going to take the win here, and they're just going for that number 2 spot? I would think it's a little early, but when you have somebody like jump up ahead here, it's hard to really think you're going to race it when he just is able to pull a 3-second gap just like that. They were right on his tail last lap, and now he's gone.
Yeah, and I mean,
quite impressive.
It's such a shame that Tommy Boy got caught up in those earlier incidents, because he does currently hold the fastest lap of the race, even faster than Jump's own by a couple hundredths. So it's a small gap, but it's a gap nonetheless. And you can see he's closed 3 seconds to this battle here now, as he does actually seem like he might stand a chance at catching these guys before the complete end.
Yeah, if these guys keep battling for this number 2 spot, they might just watch Tommy Boy come and take it from them. He's aggressive once he gets up there. He will push his way through in legal ways, of course. Not saying he's a dirty driver. He'll legally get his way through, but he's not afraid to battle you. He'll go door to door with you, a little bit of rubbing, a little bit of racing, and these two better start working together, because Tommy Boy is coming, and once he's here, you can't stop him.
Yeah, as we see, Thorn disconnects from the server. I'm not sure what we had happen there. I unfortunately didn't see any crashes or collisions.
No notifications. Maybe just wasn't able to finish, or at a certain point maybe he just lost the car a couple too many times. I know I've definitely been in that situation where you just had it with a race day and it's just time to end it.
Retire the car. Yep.
We'll see what comes of it, but Sam is gonna get that 11th place back, so Sam is at least gonna have something going for him in this race. It has been a little unfortunate for him though, this day on the track.
Yeah, and Mogo starting to continue a little bit further away here. So Seb Bellew not necessarily falling to Tommy Boy, but definitely getting closer and closer to the jaws of that baby metal racer. The number 16 car really doing a strong job today of applying pressure throughout the grid. I think we saw him go as low as P10 during the spin, if I'm corrected, maybe P11. So that is a big climb.
At P12, right off the first turn, he spun himself all the way to the back and had a 4-second gap to 11. So Tommy Boy, definitely, if we had driver of the day, deserves driver of the day here today. He has made up for the mistakes. It does look like we have an update from Thorn. Definitely was one of those days where the race just needed to end and retire the car while you had it. So we'll see him at the next season race, I'm sure, and let's hope that it's nicer for him on this one.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough one.
I was gonna say this track of all tracks too, the endurance layout of Bahrain specifically is ruthless. It's one that it's not fun to go into lightly.
Now, this track will challenge you, especially there are hidden bumps on this track that you don't know until you've driven the track, and there's curbs that you think you can take, and once you take them, you can't take them. This challenges every driver, and it's a very well made track. There's a reason why they do F1 practice here. You get a good overall challenge, high speed, low speed, and when you do the endurance, you're going to get a lot of different changes and a lot of very tricky braking and turning zones. So we do see Seb right back up on Mogo, as he had a little bit of an issue on that last turn. We'll see if he can make that move to the inside, or if Mogo does close it off. It's become a favorite of passing here. Has definitely been going to the inside on the last 2 turns, so we'll see what comes of this.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's been favoring the inside today, to the point where I'm willing to bet, yep, Mogo's going to defend the inside early. Not going to want to give him that chance, as he'll try and opt for that more interesting line he took earlier today. Does end up coming out a bit wider as Seb doesn't get close enough to make any sort of a move. But Tommy Boy now within 4 seconds and closing. He put down a 2:56.8 on his last lap. We're coming across the line here. I can only imagine it's going to be even faster this time as he comes by with a 2:56.4. Shaved another half second off as these two keep battling for P2. They might have some problems.
I think these two, as Mogo and Sep, they got real close there. These two need to maybe start working together, because Tommy Boy is going to use this to his advantage. It really does look like it. And 3.5 seconds on a track this long can go very quickly. And we still have probably another 3 laps of racing ahead of us here. So definitely something to take care of. As Tommy Boy, already look at that, 1 second gone in a single turn. He's made up with these guys. So it's go time for these two. Maybe time to stop worrying about each other and start worrying about the guy behind them, because he is gunning for that P2, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, these guys really need to start just working together, because what their current strategy is not working. Each one wants to be in front and dangle the other car out as bait to these baby metal racers. Oh, as Mogo goes a little bit wide. The lights come
Lost that
on, and I
rear
think
end.
it distracted him around the corner as the sun continues to set, and I think that literally did it. Just that momentarily lapse in distraction, or sorry, that momentary
Looking
lapse in
down the track, Nick
concentration.
Cruz making moves possibly. It looked, he got pretty close to Pogo there, as Nick, Brett, and Pogo all battling here. Hasn't had many moves, but they've stuck together for this entire race. More or less, those three have become very used to each other's cars by this time. So
Yeah, and I think we
still,
have a couple seconds before Tommy goes on the offense one more time. So we'll see if someone can get into drafting range into one of the middle straightaways. The second start finish, if you will.
yeah, this is the turn where I hope we see a move happen is coming up, as we definitely have those lights coming on bright. They that evening time in the Bahrainian desert is a fun time to drive in, that's for sure.
Yeah, these guys are entering territories they haven't entered before. Hopefully this race wraps up before the sun fully comes down, as I don't think they've raced in the dark just yet. Although this track is relatively lit up, so I don't know how much of a difference that'll make, unless they're making the rookie mistake of using shadows as braking preferences.
Unless they they don't have their markers set, it can definitely adjust the way you look at the track, but it shouldn't be too bad here with only a couple laps left. And Tommy Boy just
Lining
going
himself
for that
up
move.
early and takes the
The
dive, looking for
undercut.
it. Seb Elliott's done
Holding
well at
that
holding
rear
it
side.
before, though.
We do have Tommy on the inside, which is where he's going to want to be on this upcoming turn. He's going to just push Seb over just a little. Hold the middle of that track. And I think he's going to get this move done for P2. As he loses it.
Almost has it in the bag, but goes into the sand. Now going to have to line himself up one more time, as Mogo, still creeping within that 1.5 second range, wants to keep this a 3-way battle for P2 right up until the end. Brett Anderson did find a way past Nick Cruz after a little bit of a bump drafting situation on the main straightaway. Now seems to be moving by with some ease.
Don't look now, we have Mogo coming in to also put his tail or his hood into to this P3 battle. He has made a recovery. So Seb is holding these guys back. He's really pushing for it, but he is making his life hard with all these battles he's been dealing with for the last 8 to 10 minutes here.
Yeah, these guys are really coming down to the wire. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top, as there's, clear pace in that number 16 baby metal car, but clear technical skill from the man up north. Oh, as he has a little bit of an issue that sends Tommy to the inside, and this is going to get interesting here. Tommy is going to be able to pull alongside by the end of this straightaway, but will it be enough to make a move, or
We're
is
gonna go
Mogo
too
going to be
wide.
able to go for a through goes Hamilton situation? He does have the pace to come out on top as we've got all three going in.
Oh no!
Oh, and Tommy Boy comes out ahead as Mogo and Seb Billu end up side by side into turn 21. Tommy Boy going to try and use this to get by and force these two to fight each other, maybe locking him into P2. Can they work together with a little bit of a bump draft here and catch up to that baby metal racer? Mogo not going to let Tommy go too easily as we jump onto the view of Seb Bellew. Entering the final 3 minutes. Judging by the lap times here, this next lap is actually going to be the last one.
Oh, Seb and Mogo make some contact there. That's definitely maybe a little bit of a anger coming over from Seb. He's mad at himself there. That was tough. And oh, Mogo and Seb both have to pit. They're out of fuel.
Yeah, and they do have to automatically apply the pit limiter, so looks like Seb was actually able to cut that one a little bit closer than Mogo was. This might actually help him make it by. So now we see where that late braking or the late fuel strategy comes into play. Josh Fulton is going to possibly be able to sneak out a podium here with the long fuel strategy. It looks like he will.
That is quite the move. I was not expecting that. You even see Pogo now making a move on Seb here. He's within 4 seconds. All because of that extra pit. That is crazy. And I just wonder if Jump Raven also took that earlier pit. He must just be lifting and coasting in some places because he has been able to pull it off.
Well, did Tommy Boy take the early pit as well?
I can't.
I thought he did.
I think
but
they
maybe
both
not.
did.
Yeah. I know Jump Raven stayed out and Tommy Boy took the earlier pit, but Tommy Boy is still staying out. So I guess that's the question is, does Tommy Boy end up finishing the race? But I also don't see anybody else pitting from our back marker, so to speak, who took the late pit stop. So where did that extra fuel usage come into play?
That Mogo and Seb battle must have really, they were battling hard, so there would have been a lot of hard braking, hard acceleration. You think maybe that used up that extra bit of fuel that they needed to just finish the race, and the fact that they both jumped in so quickly is something I did not expect to see as they just, they dropped out of podium and now they're holding on to that 4-5, but Pogo's making a move on Seb right now, and Nick is going to try and get past Brett here. This has been very entertaining into the race.
Now we will say we know that this is not Nick's strongest section, so it'll come down to a mistake from Brett Anderson. Looks like a slight one was made, which will give Nick a chance to get into the drafting range on the second start finish straight here. Can he make something happen? Oh, he gets pretty close. He's got to be pushing now. Half a second to go. He needs to get a little bit closer. He needs at least one more drafting opportunity. That's going to be his only chance at taking P7 away. But man, we are desperate to find out if Tommy Boy will be able to fully finish the race. He does still seem to be applying the power as he comes around the final corner. We do have Jump Raven crossing the line, your victor for today. Tommy Boy rolling down behind him as he is off his pace, but it seems like he's able to at least roll across the line. And Nick Cruz with a little run in with the sand is not going to be able to close out P7. He will be sitting in with P8. But Josh Fulton, the probably second choice for driver of the day, manages to come away with a podium finish after an excellent pit strategy. Mogo with a P4 and Seb Bellew a P5, both getting caught up in that, nearly getting caught by Pogo, Brett Anderson, and Nick Cruz. So that strategy was a very, very dangerous and costly one as Dance crosses the line P9, and we'll jump over to Brendan Diaz as they head ever closer and closer to the final corner.
Absolutely wonderful masterclass there by Josh. Definitely once he was in the middle of no man's land there, he was at one point I think 20 seconds behind them all. So he just kept to his strategy, kept going. Whether that was an expected outcome or just a luck of having some other drivers run out of fuel earlier than expected, we won't know. But definitely Josh having a great race. It does make it tough to choose on who is that driver of the day. Tommy Boy making his way all the way back up to second from a, just an unfortunate spin on the second turn, I guess, or first turns of the race. But absolutely wonderful race, and unfortunately not a lot of love given to Jump Raven. He's got that Max Verstappen-ish treatment of the broadcast here today, and absolutely wonderful win by him. Clearing 30 seconds to third place is just a masterclass. So
Yeah,
we'll
we
nod
are
on him.
very, very excited to see what comes of a future race where we can get Jump Raven, Tommy, Parmesan, and Zabo all on the same grid. Maybe Fox even making an appearance because those guys are all in a special league. Tommy Boy taking fastest lap of the day with a 256.467 to Jump Raven's 256.742. So big lap from Tommy Boy as he was trying to hunt down the pack and walks away with a solid P2 out of it. Nothing wrong with silver. But I think we're going to call it there for this week. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Dean, thank you for the specialty join. It's nice to have you on the broadcast.
Thanks for having me on the broadcast. I'll see if I can make out a couple more of these. This was quite a lot of fun and quite a great race to watch. So we'll see if we can catch the next Tommy Boy great drive when he gets out there on the track again.
Absolutely. But for everybody else, we'll see you guys next time.